In this video, we're going to take a look at how to select elements using jQuery. What are some of the features of jQuery to make that process a little bit easier? You'll find that we've actually used some of these. So a jQuery selector function is jQuery. You use the word jQuery, and inside it you put the selector you're looking for. So that was the original way when jQuery started. They said, hey, let's do all these jQuery ways to find all these different things on our page, all these different elements on our page. And they wrote a bunch of code in the back that let us just use the keyword jQuery and specify a selector. Well, at some point that got shortened. Now they shortened jQuery down to the dollar function. So we've been using examples of the dollar function using some of the current JavaScript. Behind the scenes, this dollar function in jQuery actually does a bit more. It had a lot to do with the cross-browser compatibility. So we've been using a simplified version of this dollar function, and it's worked just fine for us using current JavaScript standards. So the dollar function isn't new. We've been using that to shorten some of our code already. But the idea came from here. A lot of programmers started doing it. jQuery started using it. So it's nothing new. We kind of borrowed it from jQuery, even though it wasn't the full version out of jQuery. So the dollar function is not new to us. So let's take a look. We have a little web page. This is FAQ's web page. We have a main section. We have H1 header. We have an H2 class. What is jQuery? We saw that class minus, so you know that's one we can click on, plus and minus, and close it up. We've seen some of this. Why is jQuery so popular? We have a paragraph, an unordered list with some list items in it. And then that's the end of our page, or the main section of our page anyway. And now we're going to see some examples of selecting some elements out of this page. So if you're confused, you can go into the book and look at this page, but it's really similar to what we've seen already, so it shouldn't be anything new. So how to select elements by ID and class. We can select the element, we can select one by an ID, we can select it by a class. So dollar function P gives us all the P elements. So that's an example of using an HTML element like P, or H2s or H1s, or any HTML element we can put in there in the dollar function. And it will go get all of the elements in the document. Okay. We can also go by ID. This would let us select any element with FAQs as its ID. That's really not unusual. We've kind of seen that before. We've kind of been using pieces of this, right? And we can select things by their class. If we want to find all the elements with minus as their class, we can go through dollar function and look for dot minus, and it will show us all the classes, all the elements that have a class of minus applied to them. Okay. So first example, selecting by element. Second example, selecting by ID. And remember, the ID can only be used once, so it's going to bring back a single element if we're using ID. You shouldn't have two of the same ID on a page. And then class is going to get all elements, so it could be multiple elements because you can apply the class in multiple places on a page. We can go and start getting into those relationships that we talked about with siblings and parents and children and all those things. So we can use descendant selectors. So here's an example. Dollar function, give me all the paragraph elements that are inside the main element that has an ID of FAQs. Okay. We can do adjacent siblings. So that's the plus sign here. It tells us we're getting adjacent siblings. All div elements that are adjacent siblings of H2 elements. So we have to have a div element that is next to an H2 in order to be included in there. That would be an adjacent sibling. It's on the same level next to it. General siblings. Using the tilde sign. Give me all the P elements that are siblings with a UL element. We only want the paragraphs that are siblings with an unordered list. Okay. And then we have the greater than sign. which is the parent-child relationship. Give us all the unordered lists that are children of a div. Okay, so we can get very specific using these. So plus is adjacent siblings. Tilde are just siblings, not adjacent siblings, just regular old siblings. I probably would have put that before the other one. And then this is the parent-child relationships. We can also do multiple selectors. So we can do dollar function. Give me all the list items in the FAQs list, in the FAQs ID section. Give me all the paragraphs that are inside a div. And then we have our pluses and tildes here, adjacent siblings and siblings. Give me all the ULs that are adjacent siblings to a paragraph. Give me all the paragraphs that are siblings of a div. Okay, so we can do multiples in one statement if we want to. All right, once we have our elements selected, then we can start running some jQuery methods on those elements, and we'll see that in the next video.